What is up, YouTube? In today's video, I'm gonna be telling you why you should pre-order the brand new M1 iPad Pro, as well as why I'm upgrading my previous 2020 iPad Pro to the brand new M1 iPad Pro. Let's talk about it. Now, the fact that they even put the M1 chip in the iPad Pro, even though it might have come off as shocking and groundbreaking in the beginning, it actually makes a lot of sense because the chips that were previously put into iPads, the A13, A14, well, the M1 is built off a similar architecture, meaning it only makes sense for Apple to use the M1 chip going forward in its iPad Pro models. Here's the truth. The M1 chip is extremely phenomenal and groundbreaking. It's actually exciting in technology. It's wiping the ground with the previous Intel builds that we had before, and the future is extremely bright for the M1 chip. Now, I've been using an M1 machine exclusively behind the scenes without saying much in the M1 Mac Mini. I'm currently using that as my main device right now. I will be reporting back to you guys very soon in the video. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell. My experience thus far, I got a lot to say. The capabilities of the M1 is big time, but not to say that it's perfect. I have certain ceilings and bottlenecks that I've hit, but I'll talk about that in the video. But the fact that M1 was slapped into an iPad Pro, as well as the Thunderbolt port. Thunderbolt port is extremely important because that allows you to use a Thunderbolt dock as well as to broadcast to a Thunderbolt display. And what you have in the M1 with the 8-core GPU of the M1, I'm now getting full graphical output to my monitor. In previous versions, like the version I have here, which is the version I'm upgrading, this is the 11-inch 2020 iPad Pro. If I broadcast via USB-C to a monitor, it only feels, it's an iPad within a monitor. There's two humongous black bars on the left and right side of that image. But with the Thunderbolt port, you're now able to get that full resolution output and full display. That's super duper dope. That's adding to the overall experience that you're getting out of this iPad. Now, granted, this is an iPad. You have to remember, I have to put this out there. This is iPad OS, is not Mac OS. A lot of people always want to question, is the new iPad Pro with all of this power a laptop replacement? For some people, the people who don't require the conveniences and the robustness of the Mac OS system, then maybe an iPad Pro can solve all of their needs, and that's perfectly fine. It's also an ideal companion out in the field while being mobile, while being portable, to service a ton of professional needs, especially with this new brand new M1 build with the new liquid Retina XDR display. You know how Apple is with their little fancy marketing, you know, the fancy terms, but the fact that it has that professional performance of their Pro XDR display in a small form factor of the 12.9 inch, which that's the only model that has it. The 11 inches, you're still getting the M1, you're still getting the Thunderbolt, but you're not getting that brand new liquid Retina XDR display. That's why the 12.9 inch will appeal to the more pro user who has more pro application in the world. Also, you package the mobility to the iPad Pro, the professional application, as well as the 5G network for those who opt in for a 5G model, so that way you can have 5G connectivity, the pro mobility of the iPad Pro with the new XDR liquid display and that M1. Another dope thing that I like that they added into the camera, which is a sell for the brand new iPad Pro M1, is that center stage. The fact that if you are a person who create content, which, I mean, not a lot of people are inclined to use the cameras on an iPad Pro, let's just be honest, but the center stage is an attractive feature. I wish they would put it on the iPhone. Apple, Tim Apple, what's up, man? But it's a cool little light. I mean, that's one of those like features that I don't know if everyone will use, but if you do use it and you have a use for it, it's ideal. All in all, the future is extremely bright for the iPad Pro, especially since it's now adopting the M1 architecture, which is natural, as I said. But the Magic Keyboard combined with the iPad Pro creates a very unmatched tablet experience, shall I say. I love the Magic Keyboard. Now, unfortunately, if you have previous models of the Magic Keyboard, and I think this might be only for the 12.9 inch, you can't use a previous 12.9 inch with the Magic Keyboard with the new 12.9 inch, and that's possibly due to the new display and weight and things like that. But a brand new M1 iPad Pro paired with a Magic Keyboard and an Apple pencil is like the ideal sidekick to a professional that relies on mobile practices via an iPad. I think with the M1 architecture and the developers being excited to program and develop for it, we should see great app application coming from this, as well as more professional apps over time. Now, there's no promises of Final Cut Pro and so forth coming to the M1 iPad Pro, although a ton of creators would love to see that. Me personally, I won't lie, I prefer Mac OS over iPad OS in the overall scheme of things, but I appreciate the iPad. I appreciate its use. I love my iPad Pro, and I'm looking forward to the use of an even better iPad Pro. Now, with me saying that, those of you who have the 2020 iPad Pro and you're feeling that, that gas gear acquisition syndrome or the FOMO and all that, I would say chill out, see what the reviewers like me have to say. I will be grabbing this and reviewing it on the channel. And not only do I grab these devices to review and to help you make a more informed consumer purchase and decision for your tech needs, I also am a consumer and a fan of technology. So that's why I get excited, that's why I get hyped, that's why I enjoy the development and innovation that we see going forward from Apple's and all of the other manufacturers. So I'm looking forward to enjoying this brand new iPad Pro in the 12.9-inch model with the Magic Keyboard. Man, that ticket and that price just went up. As well as on the channel, I will be talking about the M1 iMac. That's another video. But do I think that you should pre-order the M1 iPad Pro? Yeah, if it services your needs, if it makes sense for you to get it, you have the funds and means, I think it's a great experience. Now, granted, we haven't used it physically to see if there are any limitations or drawbacks and so forth, but from using an M1 machine exclusively for a nice long-term period right now, I've seen nothing but phenomenal potential and results out of the M1 chip. So to see it go into the iPad Pro along with the Thunderbolt port out, the application and the abilities and the opportunities in the future of the iPad Pro just got so much brighter with this new M1 iPad Pro. So I'm super hype about it. Looking forward to pre-ordering tomorrow and just throwing my wallet at Apple. They just going to take, hey, Tim Apple, you can just have the wallet. Take the whole thing here. I don't need it anymore. It's yours. Hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe. Turn on the bell if you want to hang around for more dope Apple content and tech, informative, informational content going forward. I got you. My name is CJ. This is CJ Unplugged. Peace.
That's on me, ayy. Any day could have been dead. High school price on my head. Paranoid lying in my bed. Pray to God they don't turn my shirt cherry. I was lost, didn't know me. Introduced myself to codeine. 6 months was a dope fiend. Philly didn't even know things. There was a low me. Swear to God it would've owed me. Everything you ever told me. Everything you ever showed me. I forgot it. Caused me drama.